Do you want to take your GarageBand drum sound from this to this? Welcome to the band guide. I'm your band guide, Colin, and this is going to be the first video in a three-part series where I show you how to take your GarageBand drums from dull and digital and lifeless to sounding huge and real and organic and really sound like real drums in your mix. So this is going to be three parts. Today we're going to focus on how to get a realistic space around your drum sound. Let's make it happen. Alright, before we get started, I just want to let you know I've put together a completely free guide. It's in the description for this video. This guide is going to walk you through the steps that we're doing in here and a few more steps to make your GarageBand drums sound more real. So it's just a simple step-by-step checklist, but I walk you through what all the steps are in that guide as well. So as opposed to watching this video back, you can just have that as a tool that you can keep up on your screen, reference when you're working on new songs. This will let you walk through all of those. Completely free. It's in the description for this video below, so check that out. Be sure to download that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump in. I've made a drummer track and I figured out a part that I like. So let's listen to that. So fine part, sounds pretty good, but it's just a drummer part. The whole goal here is to let's make this even bigger. So we're going to start by making a new track. I'm going to make a software instrument track. This will allow me to have MIDI control over the drums. So drum kit, my go-to drum kit is the Brooklyn kit. I love that kit. So we're going to take this, Command C, and then go to the beginning of the section, select this channel, Command V to paste that down here. So now we went from this to this. Pretty different, right? So that Brooklyn kit just right off the bat sounds more real in my opinion. Now, the Brooklyn kit sounds great, but one thing that it doesn't change is that all drummer tracks for some reason are panned opposite of all recordings. So in all music, the hi-hats are on the left, the toms move from left to right. That's just the way music is recorded 95% of the time. For some reason, the drummer track, the hi-hat's on the right, the toms move right to left. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to flip that so it sounds more natural. So we're going to add at the beginning of our change a direction mixer. So that's at the beginning of this plugin chain here. And all we're going to do is make this a negative 180. That's just flipping the pan 180 degrees. So now it sounds like this. See, hi-hats on the left, way different, right? Okay. Subtle, quick, easy, but they'll make a big difference to help your drum sound more realistic. This is going to be our starting point. Now, we're not going to add anything else to this drum. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more room sound. Again, we're trying to add space here, so the drums sound like they're in a real space. This gives you a little more space in the track, but it doesn't give you full control, and it only gives you a little bit in my ears. We're going to just have a little bit of the sound in there. And this is going to be our starting point. So this is going to be kind of our overall drum sound. It's just a little simple drum mix. It sounds really good. It's a great starting point, but we're going to add a few more things. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to hit Command D, duplicate the track. We're going to Option click and drag this down. And now we have a second track here. Sounds exactly the same, right? But we're going to take this track and we're going to do something a little bit different with it. So we're going to make a rooms track. This is going to be imitating drum room mics. So when you record drums, you have room mics as many feet out from the drum kit as you can get that sounds realistic still, that captures the way the drums sound in the room. This is usually a pretty big part of a drum mix. I don't find that that room knob does the same thing as what we're talking about here. So we're going to try to create our own version of a drum room. What we're going to do is go down here, we're going to add a reverb. My go-to reverb for a lot of things, but especially for drum rooms, is the Platinum Verb. And I go down, this wooden verb room is a great starting point in my opinion. So let's listen to what this sounds like. So it's pretty good. It sounds really distant, right? The other thing is right now it's a 50-50 dry and wet mix. That means that it's 50% original signal, 50% reverb. Because we're wanting to just emulate the reverb sound here, we're just going to take the dry mix all the way down. We're going to put the wet mix all the way up. That's going to give us a very different sound. So let's just listen to what that sounds like. So very distant, very roomy. It's a little too roomy in my opinion. So we're gonna turn this reverb time down. That's gonna be the first thing we're gonna do. Typically somewhere around 80 milliseconds, 0.9, 0.8 seconds is a good starting point. The other thing is pre-delay. Pre-delay is the time from when the hit happens to when the reverb starts. 31 milliseconds is not long, but we're gonna shorten it up just a little bit because I typically like to try to have a realistic room space, like kind of in a studio. So we're just gonna shorten that a little bit. So let's listen to what we have here. Okay, so it sounds like a room. It sounds like drums in a room. Now we're gonna take this and we're gonna take this volume all the way down. I'm also gonna go ahead and mix this volume down just a little bit because as we start to add more elements in, I don't wanna peak on our overall meter. So we're just gonna mix this in until we kind of hear it and it sounds good. The best way to get your settings right is to mix it a little louder than it should be, get the settings so the settings sound right, and then mix it back in at the right volume. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So it's a little bit loud. You can really hear that reverb right now. So we're gonna take that, we're just gonna go in and we're gonna listen to it and change some of these settings while it's really loud. So that's too long for me. There you go. That sounds like a drum room to me. Now, if you have a slower part or a different song, it might make sense to have a longer, bigger drum room sound. For this speed and this song, I'm gonna go with just something a little bit quicker. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix this in again and get the right level relative to the main drum sound. Cool, okay, so let's listen to this without and with. So I'll go ahead and say, it's subtle, right? When you're mixing, you're not doing huge changes. You're not doing huge moves. We want to be doing several little things that sound better. If you're doing something that you could notice on a laptop or a phone without headphones, then it might be a little too extreme. So mixing is going to be a lot of subtle changes. There's going to be some things you would obviously notice on a laptop, but a lot of things, it's going to be subtle. So be sure you're listening on good headphones or studio monitors, whatever you have, even just AirPods, so you can be sure that you're hearing this and picking up on the techniques and tools that we're talking about here. So subtle change, but it definitely adds a little more space around the drums, right? And the second thing we're going to do here is a little bit different. So this is going to be a snare reverb. Snare is a huge part of the mix, right? It's loud, it's a big part, it's very prominent, and because of that, it often ends up getting its own snare reverb. This is kind of an advanced mixing tip, but it can be huge for space around a drum mix inside a mix because you don't want to wash everything out. But because that snare hit is so prominent, it can have a longer reverb tail on it. And it does in a natural setting because snare is often pretty loud, right? So I duplicated the track, the original track, and I option clicked and dragged down the section. So now we have a new track here. I'm going to name this snare verb. And if we listen to that in solo right now, same as the original part again, right? What we're going to do here is we're going to turn off everything except the snare. So all we have here is the snare, right? So this is only going to be affecting the snare. And it's not going to be affecting the snare on the main track. Again, we're adding something on the side that we can mix into the overall drum sound. So I'm going to go with this platinum verb again. It's still, even in this setting, I think it sounds really great. So listening right off the bat, so this has, you hear that initial snare. We're going to go and turn that all the way down. Same idea. We just want a snare reverb here. We already have the snare hit in the main drum part. We're just adding a snare reverb on this track. How does this sound? Very long, right? So we're probably going to shorten this, but let's do the same thing we did before where we mix it in and get it to a level that's a little bit too loud, and then we'll figure out the part. Okay, so that's already too loud there. So we're going to turn this down. also going to shorten the pre-delay again just a little bit. So this is longer than our room sound. It's a little bit brighter than our room sound too. If we do this here, it will also take away a little bit of the brightness. So that sounds pretty good to me. So let's mix it in so the volume is right. So let's take that out. Right, okay, so let's listen, let's see what we've done. So we have the original drum part. And now we have this. Subtle, but it adds a lot of space around that drum. And then let's go one step further. Let's listen to the original drum part. Okay, and then let's listen to the new one. Crazy, right? So all we've done in this video is we've added space around the drum so it sounds like it's in a real room and it has space around it. It's amazing the difference that will make. Remember to download that guide I mentioned at the beginning. It will walk you through these steps and the steps coming up in the next few videos. Easy, simple steps to get your drum sounds to sound way more real in GarageBand. If this was helpful to you, subscribe to this channel. We're going to be coming out with new videos every week that's going to be on GarageBand and recording and mixing, tips, whatever you want to know. Speaking of, let me know in the comments, what's one thing in GarageBand or in mixing or music production in general that you've struggled with? Let me know in the comments, and that's something that I can either help you with in the comments or in a future video. So like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you soon with the next video.